Hi guys, so welcome back to the podcast. It's been a long time since we're getting back to this. We've had a lot of technical issues. I put that out on Instagram yesterday. We've had a lot of teething issues with equipment, all sorts of different things. It's just been a constant nightmare. Microphone issues, hearing issues, echo issues. So this hopefully now comes out and we're where we need to be. Me and Andrew did a sort of recording the other week and we started, but we had to stop because we got issues. So then I've had to come away and fix them all. So today my guest is Andrew. He's a stay-at-home dad, which he's going to go into his story even more. But it's one for me that's a great story to have because there's probably a lot of single dads out there or dads or blokes that stay at home. That are not married or whatever, they've gone through divorce and all these different things, and they do a lot of the parental side now. And it's just an interesting, to get somebody's side of it, not just mine sometimes, even though I'm a single dad, but obviously Andrew's married and things, so we're going to deep dive into that. So for the people listening, Andrew, what's a normal day look like in your house?
No, normal day. Well, no 2 days are the same. I think I'll probably speak for every dad, every parent in that regard that's got kids.
Yeah.
Because you don't really know what to expect. However, down to the cast of children that we have in this household as well, right from my youngest daughter Emma, and 3 stepkids that I've inherited. 3 wonderful stepkids. It kind of a normal day will always revolve around the younger kids. So Emma has just turned 3, and Charlie is 6. He's turning 7 this year. Charlie, just to note, is autistic and non-verbal, and Emma just comes under the category of a lunatic, to be fair. So just a 3-year-old. Do you know what I mean? So when
Living life to the max.
To the absolute max. It's hilarious. I don't have any hair, but you pull your hair out at the best of times. But no, I think defining a normal day for me, and the reason I think explaining the cast of kids that we have, especially the youngest, I really have to kind of already start the conversation off with regards to Charlie because he's autistic. That ultimately already puts you into a category of having stability and routine for certain things as well.
Yeah.
There's always an early wake up, and obviously I'm taking a lot of the responsibility from morning, noon, and night in regards to what the kids are needing in terms of getting ready, doing a school run. So obviously getting ready, breakfast, school run. Slightly different at the moment just now, literally for this time of year, because youngest Emma's gone to full-time nursery now, but once upon a time ago, not last year, it was getting Emma sort of sorted for lunch, and then obviously getting the pickup from Charlie, and then it's sort of a dinner, and then bath night, and then dinner, then bed. So they all kind of they're all quintessential things that are normal things to happen. But when it comes down to there's always the same time I wake up every single day, and there's always the same time that I'll feed, for example, Charlie. I'll feed Charlie the exact same thing every single morning in the exact same spot, with the exact same bowl, with the exact same spoon, with the exact same food. And again, that's just the routine stability and the fact that he's having the sustenance that he's having in the morning because his diet's so wild. So and then that happens. But then it's you kind of have to try and clone yourself, because I've got I've got Emma running about to sort of who will be self-sufficient to a degree. If I make something for breakfast for her, she can have that. So I don't necessarily have to have one in one arm and one in the other and then try and wrestle the both. It did for a while. I had to kind of do that to have them both together. It's progressed into a way where I can have a little bit of I'll focus on you, then I'll focus on you. But it's morning madness that kind of I'm sure lots of dads, if they're doing that, or lots of parents do that in terms of if they're doing it by themselves, more specifically, have to do. But they're both obviously still. Emma's kind of going through the ringer in terms of potty training at the moment. So it's that.
Yeah.
She's not yet ready to kind of move away from nappy pants. Charlie's still in nappies. So there's also and the reason I say that is because when I'm getting them ready, there's also 2 bums to change. There's then obviously the there's the battle of kind of doing that, getting clothes ironed, getting them, so it's that's a morning. And then obviously, thankfully, sort of the school curriculum can look after them until the time where they need to get picked up. But then obviously there's the school pickup time, and that's another sort of responsibility that lies on me as well, where I'm getting Emma, for example, then getting Charlie, but I can't leave any of them in the car at one time. So I've got I will have sort of bring one to the gate.
Juggling it all
Yeah,
the
there's a
time.
lot of juggling that happens. So, and that probably sounds a little bit all over the place, like in terms of not really sort of specifically aligning what a structure would be. No 2 days are the same, but what is the same is
Yeah.
the time I wake up at, the time that I feed Charlie at, for example, the time that we get ready, the time that we leave. Obviously, we have to because it's a school run. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
obviously when we're on the way back, and the methodical kind of like same thing that happens for a Groundhog Day for Charlie, goes into his sort of dinner time and snack time because it's the same food that he eats. So obviously it's different for Emma. Again, this is where the it can get quite tricky on a daily basis because
Mhm.
sometimes it can be easy when Emma was a baby and things like that. Ultimately, Charlie and Emma actually weirdly were aligned in the same kind of diet, actually, because Charlie, arguably
Yeah.
from a 6-year-old boy, is probably still on food that's targeted towards sort of baby toddler. But that's just because of the
Yeah.
texture, etc. But and for a while there was like it was weird, like Emma and Charlie kind of had this similar sort of point where, well, you guys could just literally eat the same thing and you are in nappies and wipes and everything else. So we're like, so this is kind of, but then obviously what's happened now is that Emma's a dustbin, so she'll eat absolutely anything and everything. So she's way moved away from like, I know, a kind of
Yeah.
masked up toddler meal where she's kind of like, she's doing whatever she wants.
Yeah.
She'll grab a knife and fork and she'll have a steak dinner if she wants to. But yes,
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Smashing a
yeah,
big, massive steak, on a night time, gets him
100.
from school. How are Dad? Why have you not got this prepared for me? Like, what are you
Exactly.
playing at?
Where's my T-bone? But yeah, so
Yeah.
it can get, obviously it can be very, very similar. Just to kind of
Yeah.
I suppose just to kind of uh, basically kind of tidy all that up. It's very, very similar on a day-to-day basis. Like it's very hectic as you would
Yeah.
expect. There's just the added
Yeah.
element of hecticness with an autistic child and a child that's obviously in that just had a terrible 2 phase, is now in a lunatic 3 phase, and like it's just obviously constantly vying for attention. And then because Charlie's
Yeah.
non-verbal, like there's, are you okay? And you don't know if he's okay, and there's all this kind of thing going on. But so yeah, it kind of molds into like just trying to
Yeah.
sort of keep things at a similar time, but it can get quite wild.
Yeah. It's difficult a lot of the time because ASD is a difficult thing with kids trying to communicate, say if they're non-verbal. Like I've got
Yeah,
nephews that are they don't communicate and things, and it is difficult. It is hard for them to have that. You've got to be that magician. You've got to try and
yeah,
figure it out all the time. You've got to
100%.
know, and I suppose you spend that much time with them. It's the personality as well. You'll get down to knowing what works and what doesn't work. That's one of the the big things. How did you how did you become a stay-at-home dad?
So that was I suppose the best way to explain that, it was a forced approach when it had happened because I was working at the time.
Mm.
I was in a fairly decent job, albeit it was a work from home job as well, which just didn't work out perfectly for some aspects of staying at home with
Yeah.
kids as well. But I was made redundant ultimately, and at the
Right.
point where I was made redundant, this was like about maybe this was like August 2024, I believe.
Yeah.
Michelle, my wife Michelle, had kind of started and was like just in this momentum phase of her business, her online business, and was doing great things. And it was kind of approaching a sort of place where the only way was up. So by continuing to do that, like, and having the allowance for Michelle to do that, we had a chat about it. It wasn't just like, right, that's what you're doing and this is what I'm doing.
Didn't have the gun to your head going, that's
No,
what you're doing now.
like,
I ain't doing this. That's your
I
job.
know. We did. No, thankfully it wasn't like that. But um, we did have a chat about it. Like to be fair, like we do with we do with several things. When we've got such a busy
Yeah.
household and there's all that kind of stuff to talk about. And we had a talk about it, and we both came to the decision about. I suppose it was a decision that I was comfortable with as well, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I'll take on that role and that position, and yeah, I'll support you in every way possible and give you that allowance of because I think when you're sort of when you're that when you've got that entrepreneurial sort of like spirit and you have your own setup, your own
Yeah.
business, yeah, there's a lot of positives that come from that. And in that regard, where there's still a stay-at-home element where that you're the boss and you can kind of work around what you would like to do. Like you don't have to sort of clock in at 9 and finish at 5 o'clock. But what
Yeah.
else comes with that is that there's obviously there's a severe amount of busyness that will follow from that because Michelle is still is flying solo in this whole thing, but the service that she
Yeah.
provides, you know, it's a service. So her time is so valuable. So she needs
It's
that
valuable.
allowance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
she needs that allowance of time where, unfortunately, don't have like a darkened room that's like she can physically go away to and shut herself off. However, what we did have and do have at the time when we made the decision is me to alleviate
Yeah.
some craziness in terms of noise. If it was like an Emma that was in, you know, I could go down to my mum's, I could take Emma to soft play, I could keep Emma
Yeah.
contained and happy, whereby Michelle could be on some calls and do some work or film some things, etc.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the story started from, where I was like, okay, I'll take on that position. You know, we both talked about it, and yeah, this is
Yeah.
a year and a few months down the line. So yeah,
And it's working well from the sounds of
yeah,
it. You know, you've got the balancing act right. You know,
mhm,
and it's one of them things. It's a real hard thing to do in this world to get a
yeah,
fine balancing act with your family, with
yeah,
bills, with general
yeah.
life, and all these other things. It's a
Mhm.
difficult thing, and you're mastering it. Do you
Yeah.
think there's a big misconception people may have with stay-at-home dads instead of it being mums? Because like the generalization, you know, it's always been that. I mean, you know, growing up, it was you didn't really have stay-at-home dads. It was more you had the stay-at-home mums. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you see that you've had that misconception? Because I don't know, like you'll walk on the schoolyard, won't you? And you'll pick
Mhm,
Emma up and you'll be there for Charlie and do all these things, and it'll be
mhm.
like there'll be all these mums, and they'll be like, "Oh, well, what's he doing?" Do you know what I mean? Do you find there's a misconception or not, or have you come across it? Or
I think there is. In terms of coming across it, I think
yeah,
the best way I can explain that I think there is because anytime I've explained my circumstance, I've always over explained it. I've not just laid it
right,
flat
okay,
when I say what I'm doing. So if that makes sense, if I've said to somebody or somebody's asked me, what do
yeah,
you do? I'm like, I'm stay at home dad. Like I'll follow it up by going, I know you're thinking it's normally the mums, but I have a need to follow it up because, like you've just said,
yeah,
there is a misconception. I mean, I actually don't know statistically if there's any statistics about what the percentage of
yeah,
stay-at-home dads are to stay-at-home. I know there are
hmm,
stay-at-home dads, but I think you're dead right.
yeah,
Like in this day and age, it's the thing that happened whereby, you know,
mm,
the mum who was pregnant then obviously has child, has maternity leave, but
yeah,
my father obviously had paternity leave for 4 weeks and then was back to work. But then mum was with kid. And then before you
yeah,
know it, that's where that year and a few months passes for the mum. And on the other side of things, the dad has obviously is work. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's just the way that some families work it. But 1,000,000%, I think there's definitely a misconception about it because just because of how things are in terms of how things are seen in that sense that because even I've found that because I obviously have predominantly uh, the most time spent with Emma, for example, and Emma being a girl and me being that dad, like having that amount
yeah.
of time together, which is precious, right? And I've never ever take it for granted. But
Oh,
for
100%. Yeah,
but
yeah,
for the times because of the age that she has just now, whereby because I'm spending that much time with her, whether it be at a soft play or a cafe or whatever it is, if there's that like if there's that sort of way where Emma's like misbehaving and then there's a need for me to maybe be a bit snappy, like it's like I think because of like that male like perspective of obviously I'm her dad,
hmm,
I'm allowed to be snappy or authoritative, like, but I
yeah,
hope that
yeah,
comes. I hope you
100%.
know what I mean by that, where it's like because I'm doing that
Yeah,
a lot of the
I get what
time.
you're saying
Do you know what I
because
mean?
you've got to like, yeah, you've got to. There's boundaries with kids. There's
Yeah,
boundaries with like, yes, you can be the fun loving dad and all the
yeah,
rest of it, but when they need to be told off, you've
yeah,
got to be that authoritative person. You
yeah,
have to be. It doesn't whether your mum or dad, whichever hat you're
yeah,
wearing. Unfortunately, you've
yeah,
got to do that because
yeah.
otherwise, they're never going to learn what
No,
was the right way and what was the wrong way with it all. So
but
for
by the way,
me,
I've
that's
struggled with it though.
yeah.
I've really struggled with it.
Right,
Like
okay.
that's a huge part for me being naturally, obviously, by briefly explaining my setup with the cast of kids that we have.
Yeah.
critically like the inheritance of three stepchildren who I absolutely love and adore. But the important factor that's put into that is that I've only been a father for 3 years. So, and obviously at the time I've been with Michelle, I've sort of had this inheritance of these other kids where I've had the build up to being, prior to Emma being born, that figure of being the sort of partner to then the stepfather, but then now I am a
Mhm.
fully fledged father. Like I've obviously had to learn all the makings of what that is. And because of that, as every father, I think, maybe goes through in terms of like when their child is, goes from zero to whatever age they are, because it's a non-stop thing.
Yeah.
I think the important parts that I've really struggled myself, like from dealing with is probably having that showing authority, but doing it in a way where I'm either like it's 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 like Jekyll or Hyde, where I'm like I don't know what the in between is, if that makes any sense. So I'm like I
Mhm.
am that fun loving father, and I'll have such a laugh and a giggle, but I can't.
Yeah.
I struggle to kind of like figure out trying to explain that the best way to try and
I
figure out
think
the.
I think yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. Do you
Yeah,
know what it is? It comes within time because
yeah,
obviously the ages of where they are, and you've got Emma at 3. Like I've got my girls now at 10. You know, they're
yeah,
closer to 11 than they are 10 realistically.
yes,
And you look at where they were to where they are now is
yes,
worlds apart. And
yeah,
you're going to let more things go when they're younger. You can look at a
hmm,
tantrum and go, right, on the naughty step, you're not
yeah,
behaving. You can do these things. And it's hard because they're that little person for that long, and
I
you've had
know,
them where they're really tiny and you're teaching them as they go, but then they're starting to find their own feet. So they're starting to
yeah,
get cheeky. So they're starting
yes,
to be this little wonder of how does the world look? How does all this do? And to be honest, I'd be lying if I said I didn't have that way back then.
yeah,
But if I look at it now and go, I've learned more because of over the 10 years that I've had with them. And you go, right,
yeah,
okay, this is the difference now. And it's like, I can say something to them and go, no, you need to behave. You
yeah,
need to
yeah,
stop. And I can say it in a certain way, and straight away it's like, right. And they
yeah,
know, and they go, right,
yeah,
okay, Dad, fair enough. And they'll crack on.
yeah,
They're not upset. They just know that that
yeah.
means that's the
I've
end
got
of
it.
it now. And we get
Yeah,
on and we do something else. So
yeah,
it's one of them where it comes within time. It's not instantaneous. It's just
yeah,
something that I've definitely found being a dad that
yeah.
if we knew everything, it'd be absolutely great. And there'd be mums out
100%.
there that would go
Yeah.
exactly the same. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
totally.
I think there is a misconception as well because you know, like you say, you went back to the pregnancy thing and people have time off and all these
Mhm.
different things. Well, yeah, the mums do, and it's all geared up for them. But there's nothing really out there for dads. There's nothing out there that
No,
helps them go through that. If they need to have
at all.
maternity, if they need to do this, if they need to do that. I know there's some circumstances where there is women that die at childbirth. I mean, it's very rare now, and it is. And
Yeah.
you know, these guys have got everything to pick up. And that, I mean, if that was me in that situation, I'd be like, shit,
Yeah, of
that's
course.
going to be a hard ride.
Mhm.
And don't get me wrong, there shouldn't be a stigma behind it, but it's kind of like there'll be a lot of things going, well, how can he manage? He's not a man. And it's like, I don't think that needs to be like that this day and age. We're not going back 30 years where people are in, well, if we can't, we need to go back probably even longer. If we look at the 70s, do you know what I mean?
Mm.
And it's like, we look at rig yards, we look at heavy industry. Blokes, that's what they were going out to do. They weren't going out to look after kids. It was a
Yeah,
woman's job. But as time's gone on, if we look 60 years in front now, the world has changed. It is
definitely.
different. Men can do a hell of a lot more. And I think men are inclined and want to do more because
Yeah.
they realize that we can't buy time, that we
Yeah.
can't. Being, you have to be present, even with your family, even with your girlfriend,
Yeah.
even with your wife or whatever that may be. It's the same as your kids. It's so much better being in that moment and being present with them than it is just, not being there at all. And I think being a dad, and like you say, like you struggle to do different things because there's a misconception and it breeds into your
Yes.
mind as well. And you go,
Yeah.
well, am I doing that correct? But
Yeah.
where is there any advice? Where is there any help for everybody?
That's it.
It's very hard. And I think it can probably play with your masculinity as well. Because
Mhm.
it like the identity of yourself, because you go, well, actually, who am I now?
Yeah.
That's probably something that you've come across in yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, to be honest. I think what I've personally found, and when I've been thinking about it, it's definitely been from the hard stop of not working until like where we are
Yeah.
right now. One of the biggest things that I've definitely noticed I'm lacking, is the self belief and confidence that just within my own self. and that is because like I've not followed for the longest time now a routine of obviously adhering to a position that I was in, which had responsibilities, and there was sort of managerial responsibilities where I was responsible for other people,
Yeah.
and so already that you wear a cloak anyway, where you're like, well, and you kind of you are feeling about 2 foot taller, and your shoulders are back because you are making a difference, albeit in a workplace, and which obviously can then smoothly kind of transition into your home life, where like, because you've been doing this, like you've got that air about you where it goes from your work into your home life. But then the biggest thing that I obviously I'm still struggling with is trying to kind of get that back within me, because now I'm not going to be ashamed to admit this whatsoever in my own personal circumstances. Every
Hmm.
single day I say to Michelle, like, I hate the fact I am not providing for our family. Like, I hate it.
Yeah.
And that is completely as it sounds. Now, there's a lot that can maybe come from that in regards to where does that come from. It's probably absolutely
Yeah.
generational as well, from that male
Hmm.
perspective
Yeah. Yeah.
of just like we've just talked about. But and obviously like it just there's more to that though, because I say that like with so much love, like when I speak to like my wife, because the pressure and stress that she falls under, and I'm there
Yeah.
almost being very helpless, like, because I think what's very, very important to stress there is just the fact that, like, I am doing a job, and it's not easy for me just to kind of go up, or say, for example, somebody listened to that and said, why don't you go and do something that's, well, it's not as easy as that because of the
No.
circumstances for us. And that's not a small violin, but it's just, we made this decision, and
No, but
it's just, do you know what I mean?
then yeah, that's the reality of it though, isn't it? And
Yeah.
this is what I'm saying, like, and this is why your story is, because there's going to be other people out there that's similar. And for me, it's a very big thing that, you know, you can say, yeah, that's something that's probably generational that's made me, you know, the way I am. Because
Yes.
yeah, I'll go to that as well and say it was bred into me that you needed a trade, that you
Yeah.
needed this, you needed that, and it was that thing of men went out and did
Yes.
and provided for family. And you know what? And there's been a big thing for it for a long period of time. And you
Yeah.
do lose your identity when you sort of like step away. You know, people know that, and I've said this before, like I worked in the automotive industry for 20 years.
Mhm.
The one thing that I do miss daily is the banter. I
Yeah.
miss the piss take and all that, and the jokes and the laughter. And I do walking on a morning, and it wasn't just with the lads; it was with the women in the teams as
Yeah.
well. You know, and the cleaners that were in, and you would have like a bit of crack with them and all. I mean, and it was like you could play innuendo bingo with the lads at work and all these different things. And it's kind of like
Yeah.
that's one of the things that you fall down from. And I
Yeah.
think that's probably one of the hardest things that you'll have probably found in that time. It's great being a stay-at-home dad. Like
Yeah.
I love, you know, my business now. I work around my kids. I love
Yeah.
it, but at the same time, it's hard, and it's kind of like, what do you do for you? Like I'll take this to me for a minute. So I used to train on a morning straight after the school run. Then I would do all my work, get done, get polished, get sorted, and be, you know, here all night, all the
Mhm.
time. Now it's kind of like I've got a bit of time on a couple of nights a week, so I can actually go to the gym and I can actually do these things. So I can have an hour here or I can have an hour
Yeah.
there, and I can actually mix and integrate with people and actually have a laugh inside the gym, which is
Yes.
great, which is
Yes.
that mental space that helps you get yourself back into that real world scenario. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's kind of
100%.
like, you know, on them days for you where it's hard, what does that look like for you? I know you've said you've got more time now because you haven't got Emma because she's at
Yeah.
nursery during the day. So it's kind of like, how does that look for you? What's been that change in mindset? What's that like? Did you do anything different this year? Have you decided to do something for yourself at the start of the year, like a lot of people do in January and
Yeah.
things like that? Is there something that you know that you've come with, or
Yeah. Yeah, there is. And I'm glad that there is, because I'm within that at the moment. So, because
yeah,
I think the brief explanation to what sort of came to that decision, as in like sort of if I kind of go back the space of last year in itself, I didn't
yeah,
do anything. I didn't do anything for my own self. Like, I didn't do anything physically. I didn't do anything
yeah,
mentally to try and just better myself or just like help myself. Like,
hmm,
there was maybe the odd run that I did, like just when I had an urge to do it. I'd have gone
yeah,
I'd have gone with Michelle on a walk, like, but I would watch Michelle do her working day, fit in some workouts. In the meantime, I was taking things so literally from my role that I didn't,
Yeah.
I think I chose to not do anything. And I think I came to that conclusion and that understanding that I was looking at it really literally, like, I'm a stay-at-home dad. This is what I do. It even
Yeah.
got to a stage where I was that stubborn that I didn't want any help. So, you know,
Hmm.
because, you know, things weren't rosy-dozy every single day. Like, it was manic at points. And I'm like,
Hard.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going through it and things like that. And then, um, obviously Michelle obviously has to have some time and space, but one of the sort of like downsides to her being here and working is the fact that she can hear things, but she has to work, but she can hear
Yeah.
the stress and pressure that I might be under because
Yeah.
I'm not getting anywhere with Emma. I'm not getting anywhere with Charlie. And obviously I was longing for that time. This is last year, longing for the time. I was longing for bedtime. I was longing for Emma to go down.
Yeah.
I was longing for Charlie just to chill on his tablet. And then I was going, right, well, give me a beer. Like, that's what I need. Like, I need a beer
Yeah.
to just mellow out. And this is my little window of time now. And I did that a
Yeah.
lot, to be fair, last year. That was my go-to in terms of like what I kind of felt I needed in terms of like relief from like the day that it was
Yeah.
before I then thought, right, I better go to bed now because I need to do all of that again and then go through the same
Yeah.
things. So I decided to, Michelle and I are doing it together actually, but I decided to, just in the lead up to sort of New Year, you know, okay, everybody, there's all the cliche things that you can potentially do in January,
Yeah.
like the dry January, maybe go vegan for a month, whatever that is, like, but, and
Yeah.
dry
Yeah.
Jan,
Yeah.
yeah, do you know, well, vegan for a month, I mean, that was an example, I would never do that, but, the,
No,
what,
couldn't. No,
no,
I couldn't do that neither.
nope.
Give me a steak, please. No,
um,
Jesus,
but
definitely not.
yeah, we both chose to well, we don't do things the easy way, so we thought we'd do it the hard way, and that hard
Mhm.
way was 75 hard, which is probably a challenge people might be aware of or not, but it's something that you
Yeah.
there's like a obligated to check things off on a daily basis, and you do it for 75
Yeah.
continual days. But the critical things within those days that you do is you do a 45-minute workout and you do a 45-minute workout outside, which obviously that's a walk or a run or whatever. So that's just being outside for 45
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
But you can do 45 minutes and you're moving your body. Stick to a diet, don't
Hmm.
drink, read 10 pages of a book. Bob's your uncle, 75 days. Now, this is day 34,
Yeah.
day 35 that we're doing this. So this is kind of,
Do you ever feel like it? Sorry. Do you ever feel like you need, like, the announcement from Big Brother, day 34 in the Big Brother house, and
I've said
Andrew's
this,
struggling
I
because he
did
really
this
fancies a
exactly.
beer? Do you know what I mean?
Honestly,
Like, can
I
you?
did.
Because that just went ping straight in my head
Yeah,
there. It's like
100%.
being in
Yeah.
the Big Brother house. If anybody
Oh,
listens to this in the rest of the world, I don't know if they've ever had it, but Google Big Brother house in the UK. Google it, because
yeah.
you had this Geordie guy on for years, obviously narrating
That's right.
basically the
Yeah.
simplest of things, and that's just literally come at my head. Day 34 when you said it there.
This is
Yeah,
no,
sorry,
honestly,
mate.
but
Go on,
that's
carry on. That's just yeah,
no, genuinely, we've also made that joke as well, like day 35 in this house. It's like, so on the surface of it, it can seem like bonkers, completely bonkers to do
yeah,
something such as that. It's called 75 hard for a reason.
yeah, yeah,
One of the other sort of, I suppose the T's and C's to it is that if you kind of fail on one of these aspects of your checklist, then you
yeah,
reset and you start back at day one. We always, but so the positive thing is that going back to what the reason, the sort of, I suppose, the question you were asking about a change because of the sort of logistics and circumstances this year with Emma being in full-time nursery. This has been the
yeah.
biggest change and the best change that I have done for the
Hmm.
longest time that I can remember in my adult life. Never mind in fatherhood or whatever, in my
Yeah,
adult life. The weight I've lost, like the way I feel like is just, I mean, obviously, like, quite literally lighter, but like
yeah.
the sort of,
Be worlds apart.
yeah, the lightness I feel just in my head, like I don't feel heavy at all. I also feel like it's like, I mean, counting one hand since the start of the year where I felt like I've kind of snapped or like lost my temper a wee bit because I've got agitated. And I think that probably happened more often last year, just because of,
Mm.
I'm only putting it down to the fact that I just wasn't focusing on myself too much, and it maybe just wasn't, I just wasn't enjoying things too much. But So it's
you're lost
helped.
in translation. It's
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 100%. So it's helped, like, in terms of, but one of the biggest things that I've discovered, from me as a person, the methodical nature, like, of, I mean, there's a methodical nature I do, which I probably quite secretly enjoy with Charlie, actually, because it's
Mhm.
so routine based. I love it. Like, it's the same route that I take even when we're coming back from school. I hear the same sort of, like,
Yeah,
stimming from Charlie at the exact same points. It's this just the
yeah,
same way that we walk to school. It's the same things he eats, the same spoon I use. There's something about that, right? That I quite like. I take to now in regards to something like
yeah,
75 hard. When I'm faced with, albeit the checklist in front of me, I love nothing more like than going, right, done that, done my water, like done that, done that. What's next? Right, I'll do that.
yeah,
And because of that, the days are now rolling in quite nicely where I'm like, nothing in regards to like, oh, I could do a beer, I could go a beer here. There's not necessarily been that real urge. Things have been quite tough just because I think we're finding it quite tough just now because we've not had a rest. But the,
yeah,
the I don't know, the pride in sort of going, that's another day done. Like, get me on to tomorrow and I'll do the same thing.
yeah,
It's been absolutely
yeah.
massive for me anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, people
Do you
might take it
think?
differently.
Do you think the days, as it's like, obviously you will have had a window, so like obviously as you get to the start, it's really hard, probably for the first 2 weeks. Then
Yes.
you'll get into like this point now. So what are you probably, so what, your fifth week roughly now, somewhere around about that to
Yeah, fifth,
6 weeks
sixth week.
maybe,
Yeah,
depending on when you started. So like you'll find now that it's just a rhythm. So you're just on that
that's
treadmill,
it.
aren't you?
Yeah,
That
that's what
you're
we
just
found.
taking
It's
yourself forward, and it,
yeah, it's
yeah.
almost like muscle memory for us
What
now.
do
We're
you?
like we're just out.
What do you think will be your biggest key takeaway from it all when you're done? If somebody out there is going to
Oh,
think about doing something similar, what's
yeah,
that sort of piece of advice that you go, so like from the start to like now, what have you found? Because there'll be a lot of people that do stuff in January and say, yeah, look,
yeah,
I'm going to do this and then do it for January, and it gets to February and they don't do it anymore. Like,
mm,
you're doing this 75 hard. What does 75 hard look like after you're done? What
yeah,
have you thought about that future point? Is it then going to adapt in going, okay, do I go to the gym a couple of times a week? Do I still keep my eating? Yeah, I might have a beer, but only
yeah,
buy 4 cans at a weekend and that's my lot,
yeah,
or a bottle of wine, or how does that
yeah,
look? Do you know what I mean? Like, have you
yeah.
put much planning in the way of that for the future side of it? To like, because that's going to be a
Mm,
massive mental health building. And you say like
yes,
you're clearer and happier in your own self, and it's probably made you a much lighter dad in that aspect as well, because there'll be some things that you'll just be more relaxed with because
yes,
you're a bit more you, if that makes
yeah.
sense.
Definitely. I don't think I think you probably I think you weirdly probably answered that for me, like, in the sense of seeking. No, but I mean that like sincerely, because I think continuing the momentum of something like
Yeah,
this, it would be ridiculous to stop and then on the day 76, which would be your day one of the rest of your life, because you finish 75 hard,
yeah,
75 days, to then go, right, get Just Eat open, get me down to the shop, get me 4 cans, get me that chocolate, that crisp, give it to me now,
yeah,
like, and go, right, I earned this. Okay, we've talked about maybe having that we earned this sort of moment, but I think,
yeah,
like you've just said, I think going, right, I don't need to have a beer every night. I don't. I don't need to do it, because what I've discovered
yeah,
what I've discovered on an evening time now is that I quite like reading my book. I quite like lying down in
yeah,
my bed because there's an element and an air of calm. And I'm saying that as a 40-year-old man because I don't normally read, right? I actually don't. It's not something that I
yeah.
genuinely have found that I like to do in my adult life.
Hmm.
I think I read Harry Potter and a couple of Ben Elton books, right? That's my back catalogue. But
Yeah,
by finding myself by doing these books, because obviously one of the 75 hard, like, sort of specifics was like it's non-fiction, but ultimately from looking into it and researching 75 hard before I started, it's kind of allowed people to kind of
yeah,
read like self-help books, right? So, I've read
yeah.
Atomic Habits now. I'm nearly finished Simon Squibb, What's Your Dream? And I'm like, and I
Right,
said this
okay.
to Michelle last night. I'm like, I was thinking about my next book, and I'm like, 3 books, and it's not even February. I mean, like, who is this guy? Like, but I think doing that and having an evening where I'm like, I don't have to go, right, what football's on? Look, I love to watch the football, but I don't
Yeah,
have to go plan my night around like getting them to bed, getting a beer, and watching what I want to watch. I'll be like, right, okay, if I've got some
yeah,
time, I'm going to continue that sort of momentum of those nights are so precious for us right now because we have an element where
yeah,
we can talk to each other after a long day. We can both read our books. We can maybe do a bit of studying for things that we want to do. And then we're naturally going, I've
Yeah.
earned a good sleep just now. Apart from the fact of like
Yeah.
Shell having a hard day's work, me arguably also having the hard days I've been doing what I've been doing, going, right, well, you kind of need
Yeah.
that sleep. But
100%.
I think the
Yeah. Yeah.
exercise element, like, yeah, for sure. There's not going to be there's not going to be a relentless um, daily sort of workout. I think what we are definitely going to be doing is having the upkeep of doing exercise, but we'll have a couple of rest days because
Yeah. So you mix it up slightly because
yeah, I think I have found it like, I'm in like, I feel the shape I'm in is like, is so good and I'm so proud of it. Like it would be so stupid for me to like just neglect it. Like, I think the
yeah.
walking element, like, I mean, that is probably a very cliche thing for a lot of people to suggest, to sort of get some fresh air. And it is, but it's also the reason why it's cliche is because it definitely helps. Like going out and just having a
It
walk, I
does.
think, yeah, the walking is something we'll keep up, I think, as well. So, yeah, and I think that, like
Yeah.
you said,
I'm.
yeah, the aspect of the alcohol, I think, is something that I don't have to. It's not going to consume me. Where like, when do I get a chance to drink today? Like in terms of that beer, I think it's going to be like, I fancy a beer today. Like, do you know what I mean? I think the mentality of
Yeah.
it might change, but it's like, and yeah, it might revolve around the fact it's a Friday or a Saturday or whatever. But I'm like, right, maybe that's
Yeah.
how I'll kind of align myself to in that sense and take it from there. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, it is, and I think you're right in everything you're saying. You've got them steps to go with the forward process of it, and
yeah,
I think that's and it's mindset. And,
oh yeah,
I talk about mindset a hell of a lot. And, you have to have that mindset because if you don't have that mindset, you're never going to, one, follow your dreams. You're never going to, two, get to where you want to be. And
yeah,
three, you're never going to surround yourself with people that you want to be because
yeah,
what happens is when your mindset's like that, your beliefs change. And
yeah,
don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you lose your friends and nothing like that, but you look at things differently and you go, no, I
yeah,
need to do this. You might get pals going, oh, you're coming out for a few beers, and that's like, nah, mate, I'm doing other things, and it's kind of like not that you don't want to be social, but you just go,
yeah,
I don't want to do that today. Like I want to
yeah,
go do something else. I've got my training in the morning. I want to be fresh for. I want to
yeah,
do that. It's like, well, I'll see you tomorrow. Are you free tomorrow instead? And somebody go, oh, well, yeah, change it up. That's
yeah,
one of them because you know that you've got that plan in your head that you want to go do. And
definitely,
that's one of the big things that's going to change your momentum going forward. It's like, myself, I'm doing a shred and sculpt for 8 weeks. I'm on my fourth week now. And
hmm
it's kind of like so many calories every day and a massive amount of protein into me. Yeah, wicked,
hmm
which I'm doing. And when I'm done, I've always worked out. I've always gone to the gym. I've always done these things. But it's another mindset peak for me because I actually want to see what's my best physical shape that I can physically get myself into at 38 before I turn 39,
yeah,
like later this year. And it's kind of like
totally,
that's my goal in my head because I want to see what that's like for me. And it just because I get to that point before my birthday doesn't mean to say that I'm going to then stop. The habits that I'm putting myself into now are going to be the ones that I go through the future. My son,
yeah,
he's autistic, and we have to have a very the diet is really hard because he is quite beige at times with some things, other things he's not, but he is methodical. He does like certain food. So it's kind of
yeah,
like, but then you look at them and it's like, right, how do we get an alternative in? And we do these things. So that's what I'm doing in the background now with my
yeah,
eating, trying to then go, look, if he sees this enough and it's like, all right, okay, why are you eating that all the time? And then you get into the conversation of why. And then he's like, right, okay. So then he starts to pick up these little things and go, all right, so you're eating like
yeah,
chicken and salad and rice. Like, yeah, I am. Like, that's what I'm having, or I'm just having this and that. I mean, he's
yeah,
a good eater, and I'm lucky with that because I know there's some autistic children out there that that aren't.
yeah,
But yeah, there was something I was going to ask you because obviously Charlie and stuff.
yeah.
What's something outsiders generally don't understand about ASD parenting that you've come across?
Now, this probably I find this with, I think it's assumptions with, and even like with my nearest and dearest, my family or even some of my friends. I think the assumption as to why a child like Charlie is doing that certain thing, like why is
Yeah,
he not, why is he still in nappies? Can you not just potty train him? And I think when
yeah,
that's said, I appreciate the sentiments as to why that's been said, or oh, just try this or try that, and I get it. Like there's probably a loving reason as to why these, why people that are really close that are surround me that maybe suggest that. But I've found
mm,
that, and you obviously may not you also you definitely probably will. will know what I'm talking about here as well. Because of autism and from what that falls under, like there's obviously, it's why there is a spectrum and it starts from a mile
Yeah.
that way and it goes to a mile that way. Like, and anybody
Yeah.
young, old, or whatever can all sort of fall in anywhere between that spectrum. And that's why there's very severe cases of it or like very mild cases of it and things like that as well. But the casting assumptions from that, and even I found this when we were on holiday last year in Turkey, we did bring
Hmm.
Charlie and obviously we brought Emma as well with us. I
Yeah.
think we both felt that we almost needed a protective shield. Like that sounds like the traitors there, like that we got the
Yeah.
shield for Charlie, but the shield for Charlie was the sunflower lanyard that says "I am autistic." Now,
Mhm.
I think we both had an element and an air of comfort, like when we went to an environment like an airport and an airplane,
Yeah.
and then a hotel and the surroundings, because there was a particular point I remember being when we sat down for some dinner one night and we had the prams with us and things, and I had Charlie's lanyard on and he had his tablet
Yeah.
with him and his headphones, and there was a sort of of older couple that were directly pretty much very close to the table, but Charlie was very much, he was kind
Hmm.
of stimming quite a lot and making quite a lot of noise and things like that,
Yeah.
and then this like
Yeah.
couple kind of like moved, like, and that's okay, it's their prerogative to do that, right? And but I
Yeah.
found
Yeah.
myself, and I actually got really, I didn't get angry, I got really upset. And
Hmm.
the waiter came over, and the waiter was, it was a lovely man, like, he had perfectly good English where I could have a conversation with him. Like, it wasn't broken where he didn't understand what I was
Yeah.
meaning. But I explained, I think I felt the need to explain to him with Charlie
Yeah.
and his lanyard. And I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that maybe that people have to maybe move away from that.
Yeah.
But the man was like, he was very, very nice. Like, no, he, like, put his hand on my shoulders. Like, that's not that at all. But, and I think hopefully that kind of falls in nicely in terms of what anybody may feel in
I get,
regards to that
yeah,
side of things.
I get what you're saying because I've had situations all the time
Yeah.
with Oscar in a lot of different ways. And it's very difficult at times because a lot of people from the outside in, they don't know him. And that's
Yeah.
absolutely fine. And it is difficult. And it is difficult for people to see it. And sometimes the overwhelm is bigger than what they realize. Sometimes you're the only person that's got the answers for them and the only way to bring them down.
Sure.
And I've said this before, I wish in some ways society's seen things slightly different. And they
Yeah.
just, we should just accept them for who they are
Yeah.
and what they are. And and for me, but unfortunately, society wants them to fit into a world and it doesn't
Hmm.
fit their ethos. It doesn't fit their mind. It doesn't fit that way because they don't know how to fit in because they're
Yeah.
social, emotional, and things like that. And it's, I've been places where Oscar's just not even bothered with the queue and he's gone lacing through and he's like, yeah, can I have that, please? And don't get me wrong, he's been polite and people look at him as if to say, like, what are you doing? Like, who are you?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I'm chasing after him going,
Yeah.
sorry guys. And it's like, I have to say, like, he's autistic. And then everybody goes, it's all right. Don't worry, son.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky that where we go and sometimes people are very understanding and like,
Yeah.
that's okay. And it's like, look, they're being served. Like, you just do you. Don't get me wrong. I've had it where sometimes people are like pissed off and all the rest. And I just go, like, give me a break. Like,
Yeah.
what do you want from him? It's not his fault. We try and we repeat and we repeat. And this
Exactly.
is the thing with autism that a lot of people don't understand. And I hope this is one thing that if we could probably give a little bit of education to anybody that doesn't understand it, that when you've got autistic children, you are basically repeating yourself 20 times a day with that
Yeah.
same process. And it'll be like, put your spoon in there, put your bowl in there, and it takes a lot longer for that to go through. It's like when you queue,
Yeah.
it's
Of
like, we've got
course.
a queue, we've got to wait. And it's like, well, why is this queue taking forever? Unfortunately, everybody's working as fast as they are. And then
Yeah.
you'll get Oscar's black and white thinking, which is, well, we should just shoot them because they're not doing it good enough. Well,
Okay.
that's not how the world works, mate. And it's kind of like,
Yeah.
then you've got to explain that. And then that you've got to
Yeah.
explain it again and again.
Exactly.
And it's a lot of the time, it's, you've just got to be present. And I talk about being present a hell of a lot because you have to be with them to make
Yeah. You do.
them feel
Yeah.
safe, secure, and everything else.
Yeah.
And my one piece of, advice or anybody that next time they're out, and they just maybe think, oh, what are they doing that for? Give them maybe a bit of space and just maybe give that dad or that mum that little like nod and just go, you okay? And
Yeah.
generally, everybody would just go, we're fine, thank you. And
Yeah,
I would never take offense if somebody said to me, are you all right? Because that's genuine, like somebody actually cares for a change instead of just
of
going,
course.
oh, well, what's all that about and all that
Yeah.
noise? And I would rather somebody, if I see somebody that's in the airport or there's a kid getting frustrated and stuff like that,
Mhm.
it's kind of like, are you all right? Do you need anything? If I've got
Yeah, of
anything to give, and and it's one of them.
course.
Unfortunately, the world sometimes isn't as kind as we'd like it to be. Unfortunately,
No.
what have your kids taught you about yourself?
No. Eh, I think the one thing, obviously, I would have to pinpoint this from when I say my own flesh and blood being Emma, in terms of like being that child, to then obviously still including or having the inclusion of the stepkids as well, because there's an element of a cocktail there that's still sort of instilled a lot within me.
Yeah.
It's certainly from the immediate sort of like impact that Emma had made, that has made me, I think, be the best man I could ever possibly be prior to a point
Hmm.
of where Emma was not here or where I didn't have stepkids. Now,
Yeah.
being the best man that I could be may be like a blanket sort of like phrase, but that is a little bit more decisive, like a little bit more. Now, I know I've obviously explained that there's still elements that I lack in myself that I'm aware of, like a little bit of lacking
Hmm.
a little confidence, self belief, but having the impact of having somebody like my own child there, and I'm like, I am responsible for you. So having that instinctive like air going, like, well, I make decisions for you now until you get to a
Yeah.
point where you make your own decisions. So, but before that, I think I was in this, I think I was in a bit of a bubble, like where I was a bit floaty, a bit airy. Like I was like a yes man and a people pleaser and like everything else. But now I'm much of a better man, but I'm a grounded man as well. And I love that, like, because, naturally from Emma's like birth to where she is just now, I've kind of like had the trials and tribulations of obviously having a lot instilled in me to be proud for a lot of things that I've kind of
Yeah.
been, and Michelle has been, like, as a parent to that child. But then the real like loving and nice thing from the other stepkids has been, there's a trust element there, that they trust me now of being that stepfather figure. Like
Yeah.
I'm by
Hmm.
no ways overstepping any line or overstepping any mark. Like I am, to be fair, somewhat a middleman, because there's a fantastic relationship with the fathers of like the three stepkids. Like, so I am
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
like, and I will provide a service of being that stepfather, but I'm not gonna. I'm not intervening. I'm not going to sort of like tread on any toes, because it's a harmonious
Yeah.
sort of thing we've got going on just now. A bit of a unique
Yeah.
circumstance, but you probably wouldn't want it any other way, because um, having co-parents and things like that as well, or sort of
Yeah.
fathers there, can be quite
You've got to
tricky.
work as
But
a collective, haven't you?
well, yeah, you do, and that's what we do in this household. I
Yeah.
still want to be there, like, and I am there just to be still that responsible adult, but probably more like, certainly for like my eldest like stepdaughter, like she's nearly 16 now, so like there's that. We're
Yeah.
pals, we're a couple of pals, like at times.
Yeah.
I mean, she'll put us through the ringer, like, but we're a couple of
Yeah.
pals, like, so it's like.
Yeah.
As you'd
Yeah.
expect from like from a
Test the boundaries, yeah,
oh,
and
yeah,
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 exactly. So yeah, I hope I've answered that, but I think it's like just that sort of that nature of being so grounded, like, but so proud, like,
yeah.
and so much of a better man, like that's, and I hope that makes sense, because that maybe it's not like
No, it does. It
specific
does.
things,
It does.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If the kids listen back to this one day, what do you hope they hear?
I hope they can hear the true sentiments in what I'm saying, in terms of,
Hmm.
I you can achieve a lot. Life might be hard, but you are going to get through it. Like, if there's any difficult
Yeah,
or tricky patches, it's not over. There's always another day, to be fair. So,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and I think I would hope that they don't. I hope they don't waste time, and I hope that they don't, I hope that they don't sort of long for more time. Very much hope that there's
yeah,
an element of living very much in that little window of being in the present moment. I'm guilty probably of, like, oh, when Emma's this age and this age and this age, I don't know, you maybe do that because like I try and match the fact I'm 40 to when Emma's 3. So 15 years time she's 18 and I'll be 50. I think maybe every dad or parent does that as well. Like,
Yeah.
when can I take her for a beer? Like I'm,
I,
do you know what
to,
I mean?
to be honest, Andrew, I do the same thing. I think about that and I go, Oscar's 14, I'm 39 this year. Like he's
Yeah,
15 later this year, and I'm like, right, okay, another 10 years time. Like, where am I going to be? And I think, shit,
yeah,
like, wow,
yeah,
that's going to go. And like, I know how fast that time's gone, and then
yeah,
that's where the twins are now. I'm like, okay, so they're 10. So when I'm 48, they're 20, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like
yeah,
that's not long away. And I know how fast time's gone as I've got older, and like everybody can appreciate that. And I just think, shit, like it's
yeah,
coming at you at
totally.
a rate of knots that you just don't ever get.
Hmm.
I've got some quick fire ones for you that we
Yeah,
always
go
do.
for it.
So, what's the one piece of advice you'd give to a dad who's just starting out single father journey? What would be that one piece of advice?
I think take your time.
Yeah,
Listen to your own instincts as well. I found
yeah,
that I was maybe a little bit more. I like to have reassurance, and it's probably quite good to have
yeah,
reassurance from being a first time parent in that regard. Certainly from my father's perspective.
hmm
But listen to your own instincts because even Michelle has said that to me just now in regards to Emma. She's like, you don't have to say to me that I think Emma's hungry. I'm going to feed her now. Like, you can just feed her. Do you know what I mean? But
do
that's a
it.
very like,
Yeah, yeah,
so, but I'm like, well, I know she needs fed. I'm like, and I know her because I know everything about her. So, I think at that beginning stage, it's going to be very, very difficult and tough. You know, try not to sort of overthink a lot of things as easy as
yeah.
it's easier said than done as that could be. And listen to your own instincts 100%. As
No, no,
maybe,
100%. I get that. It is the biggest thing. Listen to your gut feeling. Your instinct.
yeah,
At the end of the day, there's no right or wrong way of doing it, and I can tell you
yes,
that from being a dad.
yeah,
There's not everybody out there single. There'll be some blokes in the future that are listening to this that are single, don't have any kids now, that are going to
yeah,
get
of
married
course.
and wonder and worry about it, and just like go with
Yeah,
it. You'll learn, and it's not scary. It's probably one of the most beautiful experiences you'll
it
ever
is.
have in your life. That's if you want to have kids. Like,
Mhm.
I've got pals out there that don't. Well
Yeah,
done to them. I mean, their life looks totally different to mine. Would I change it? Nah, I wouldn't
exactly.
change a single
I
thing
totally agree.
ever.
Yeah, I totally agree.
What's what's the most
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm a dad moment you've had, like something your kid has done or that made you question your entire parenting strategy, or just even in life, even just yourself, that you've just gone, Jesus, should I have really have done that? Was that the wisest of things?
Well, there's maybe been more than a few moments with Emma, to be honest. But when Emma was still in a cot, a sort of cot, sort of toddler type cot, the ones I mean, like
Mm.
in a room,
Yeah, yeah,
um, and way before a period of time where a potty was even introduced or a toilet was even discussed. We
yeah.
naturally I can't. Sometimes I need to do something without actually physically having Emma on me or around me, like maybe go to the toilet
Yeah.
myself or maybe screaming a pillow or something like that. But I had to obviously leave. I placed her in said cot and
Yeah.
left the room. And I believe I must have gone downstairs and I think I was wanting to do something. Maybe I was trying to get some tea or whatever, but I was downstairs and she was upstairs.
Yeah.
I went back up into that room and I have never seen anything quite like it in all my life. Maybe it happens in prison a lot where people do some dirty protests. When I said or when I tell you that there was like shit smeared on the walls, like this was, I mean, our walls weren't even white. Like, this was like proper brown like shit. But you know that way where the fear that you have a dreaded element of fear. Like I was like, coming back up the stairs up, and
Yeah.
as soon as I took a step, I'm like, you started to smell something. Happens a lot
Yeah.
anyway because you're like your nose is your important sort of like tool when you're when you're a parent or
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
father as well. So you're like,
100%.
well, you need changed. Yeah, but then that edging ever closer, I'm like, this seems quite, extreme, and
Pungent.
it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
But and it, and obviously she was there, and it was everywhere. I mean, that's the best. It was absolutely. everywhere, just everywhere.
And I bet you it was literally 5 minutes. And that's the thing.
Oh,
It's amazing what they can get up to within 5 minutes. Oh my
it's
goodness.
it's
Yeah,
wild.
I remember
That
some things, but
yeah.
I bet you, I mean, I'm laughing. I bet you walked in and went, "What the fuck? What
Yeah,
the
I
fuck?"
swear to
And then you
God
go,
that.
"Help!" Shouting from the
Yeah,
top, like, "Help,
no,
quick!" Because you don't know
100%.
whether to go get the child or get the poo off the wall, or what do you do first? Oh,
Just it
I
was like,
feel for
yeah,
you,
it was, yeah, it was a that was a
mate.
time of it, but yeah.
Hey man, what is your go-to meal that you can make? Maybe it's in under 10 minutes, 20 minutes max that you count as nutrition. I mean, I know your house is probably going to be varied because you
Yeah.
know, obviously you
Mm.
only make certain foods. Charlie, obviously Emma's an age. She might want a
Yeah.
steak dinner now on a night time, like you said before. So you know who knows? And then what the other two want, what Michelle wants, what you
I
want. Yeah.
I
So
know, I know.
what's it look like in your household at a night time?
Well, yeah, you're right. It can differ because she might want a steak or she might just want chicken dippers. But you're like, well, okay, so let's go from one extreme to the other. No, but I think nutritionally though,
Yeah.
because it's obviously like, thankfully she does like some aspects of food that I really like to see her eating. Individually, she can have that, but in terms of a meal, she does like a bit of pasta. Sometimes the pasta though can be a little bit basic though, so like it can just be a bit of a
Yeah.
sauce and pasta. So but I would probably say it may sound like I'm kind of I'm tricking the system here because I would say prep time for this for me would maybe be about 10-15 minutes, but it's a lentil soup because honestly
Right. Okay.
the ingredients within that and once it's cooked it's just absolutely like it is a bowl of goodness, to be fair.
Yeah.
Emma absolutely loves it, and it's one of those things where the whole house loves it, to be fair, so it's like it's a win-win.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say for me in regards from Emma specifically, I like a good lentil soup, and it's like honestly like this. My gran made this and my mum made this, and it's like three
Yeah.
ingredients, and it takes prep time.
Okay.
You know, let's take it 10-15 minutes, but it's once you get it going and it's like it's all simmered and ready to go, you're like right quality. That's and it. I think it's one of those where I'm like I feel every bite she takes, I'm like, oh, you're just getting that goodness in you. Like it's one of those. I'm like,
Yeah,
right,
you're getting
good.
everything into you naturally that you should be getting. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
exactly.
all
Because I
about
mean,
that.
I mean, she loves a bit of fruit and all that, like which I'm really glad for. But I mean, it's not really a meal, but I'm glad she does like it. But yeah, a lentil soup, she likes a bowl of that. So
Fantastic. If there were a Dad Olympics, what event would you take home the gold in?
that's a good question. For the longest time, I actually felt like um, I could change a nappy. Like I'm talking like gold standard without looking.
Yeah.
Just because there was like such a technique I was doing to it, like, and it was like I was so flamboyant with it, like flapping the nappy off like on the floor.
Yeah.
I'm like, it was done in a way when I'm like, I mean, go for it. And then even like when Emma was a wee baba, like doing that sort of, do you know that like little what they call like muslin sort of type or muslin cloth, like the wrapping in a wee
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
burrito type thing. That like little wrap and fold, like they were all like quite technique based. I don't
Yeah,
know. I
yeah.
think um see, because Emma's hair is like, I mean, honestly, she's got like Rapunzel's hair. Like it's so long. And she did actually have quite long hair when as soon as she was born, but it's that long now that I
Yeah.
would probably say I think sort of the drying hair and the hair element for her as a wee girl, I think if you put me in
Yeah.
a sort of event where you need to dry hair because it's like slightly wet and you need to comb it and style it. All right, okay. I've got gold. Easy. That's it. That's me taking home
Yeah.
the gold.
Easy.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Take the gold. I love it. I love it. Right, as normal, I've got some would you rathers. So, as
Okay.
normal, I generally start with one, but we went straight into it today. But I've got two here for you. So,
Right.
and yeah, would you rather step on Lego once a day or have to assemble toys without instructions forever?
I'm stepping on Lego once a day. I'll take that pain any day of the week than
Yeah,
assembling toys like forever. Like, did you say that every day? Was that nah?
yeah,
Sorry, I'll take a Lego
yeah,
stomp every day, every day. I don't care
yeah.
how
I
immediately
would,
sort of like immediately sore that is, but I'm taking that on a daily basis.
yeah, I would. To be honest, mate, I think I would probably go with step on Lego once a day. I
Yeah.
know how much the little things hurt, but I would
Oh,
rather
I
do
take it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Now, you rather, and you got to answer why, 1,000 times a day or negotiate bedtime like a hostage situation every night?
Right, say that again. Say that again.
So you get an answer of, so would you rather you have the answer of why 1,000 times a day
Okay.
or negotiate bedtime like a hostage situation every night?
Man, both of those happen anyway. To be fair,
But which one gets on your nerves more? And this is the thing. Is it the bedtime challenge? Or is it, do you need to hear, but why? But why?
see,
But
yeah,
why?
I have to go. I actually have to say why in that regard. That would be my answer because I am honestly,
Yeah.
I think I'm running out of things to explain the follow up reason as to whatever Emma's like. We need to go now, but why? And then I can't then just go, but then I find myself going, because we need to leave, like right now. But why? Because because it's time to leave. Like, there's so many variations. I'm like, so like, I think probably would take that than a bedtime situation because I much prefer
Yeah.
when bedtime is slightly smoother than having a million and one variations of explaining the same thing to a child that's asking why.
Yeah.
Because you can have a bit of fun with it, but I mean, obviously it can get quite tedious as well.
Yeah. To be fair, I remember the why question, and it was kind of, I always used to just go, I got to the point and went, yeah, but why? And then they go, but
Yeah.
why? And I go, but why? And then they were like,
Yeah.
why is he copying me?
Loggerheads.
I'm like, sorry?
Exactly.
And be like, but why? But why? All the time. And then it just got to the point where you started to get over the why question. But yeah, I mean, I think, negotiating bedtime like a hostage situation every night would be quite funny for a while. I reckon that
It
would
would.
be highly interested. Yeah, be entertaining.
It's
It
however
would
you want
be
to take from
100.
it. Yeah. However you want to take from it, to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
fair. You can make it fun, but I guess if they're, I think, I don't know.
yeah. I'll go with the why 1,000 times a day. I'd go with that. I'd take that. I think it'd be easy. At least bedtime. At least you wouldn't get the why anymore.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. But no, that's my would you rather's for you. Did
Sure.
you bring one for me, or have you got a joke for the listeners this week? Or
No, I do. I've got a would you rather for you as well,
yeah,
which hopefully
go on then.
is. So I'm not aligning this would you rather to anything from like maybe treating it like a would you rather if you were a father and things like that, and having sort of stepping in Lego and things
Right.
like that.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
talking to you. I'm going to speak to you from what I do understand is your deep rooted passion and nature of the football club that you support as well, and
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know
Go on.
and kindly in the same note of the football club that you maybe don't support as well. So here we go. I'll give it to you straight. Nice.
Yeah.
So, would you rather win the Champions League once? Obviously, you're a Newcastle United fan, but would you rather win the Champions League
Yeah.
once and lose every single Tyne and Wear derby for the next 10 years, or win every Tyne and Wear derby for the next 10 years and never qualify for the Champions League?
Fuck me.
I think you'd rather step in Lego, wouldn't you?
I think I'd rather step in Lego at this minute than try and answer that, because that's,
Yeah.
man, it's a hard one because the rivalry is so good and we haven't had it for so long, and it's like, it's really good. And like, don't get me wrong, like, we gifted them 3 points this season by Walter Marder's own goal.
Mm-hmm.
If nobody knows who he is, he's a player that we have up front. And bless him, he did a world-class header, but he put it in the wrong net, which happens. But I said we gifted them 3 points, so they made sure that they stayed up so we could play them again next year and continue us and see how far they can get. Because I want to see another club up here. So that's what I've said to a lot of people that I know are Sunderland supporters.
Yeah.
I love the Champions League. I love what it brings. I love the nighttime games that we get. I remember them as a kid.
Yeah.
I was lucky
Yeah.
to go to a couple when I was a kid, and they were great. Like, there's nothing better than watching football under the lights and
No,
the
there's not.
atmosphere. So for me, I would say win the Champions League and lose the Tyne and Wear derby for 10 years. I would happily do that, because I would get it where they go, oh, we've beat you for 10 years. They go, we beat you for 10 years in a row. We go, but yeah, are you in the Champions League? Have you won these trophies? No, you haven't. And I'd be more than tickled pink than doing that, because they'll just go, you haven't got the trophy, have you? You haven't got that. So I could take 10 years of hurt, because under Mike, actually, we had plenty of years of hurt. So it's fine.
Yeah.
And they've got to come to St. James's Park yet again. So we'll see how we get on. And I'm well buzzing. So yeah, after that, that's how I'd answer it, 100%.
I love it. Good answer.
No, spot on. Spot on. No, Andrew, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. Like we say, this is the first one back for a long time. No doubt we've got, we haven't even really touched the surface on some things with you as well, which, we'll probably have you back at some point if you want to come back on the channel and obviously do that. To
Yeah.
anybody that's new, obviously anybody that's followed us over from Spotify, we're on YouTube now. So if you can obviously do us a like and a subscribe, that would be absolutely great. It just helps us to push this further around the world. And to get some blokes talking, and obviously that's the big picture of it all, just talking about men's mental health along the way, and however we can help and push a bit further. But yeah, thanks guys for tuning in, and everybody stay out yourselves, and we'll see you next time. Cheers, Andrew. Right.